Elizabeth Sperry is suing her ex-husband's girlfriend, Wendy Shively, for having her falsely arrested for stalking. Wendy says she was concerned for her safety.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 234 on the calendar in the matter of Sperry versus Shively. Party's been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Sperry, the defendant is your former husband's current girlfriend.
That's correct.
This is the former husband.
That's also correct.
How long were you married?
10 years.
You have 3 children.
Correct.
And am I correct that your husband has primary physical custody of the children?
That is correct.
As of when?
Actually, since from the time we separated, because of the fact I left the marriage. 4 years.
And you see the children how often?
Every Monday and Tuesday after school, every other weekend.
How far do you live from your former husband?
54 miles.
And who do you live with?
I live with my husband.
And you've been married for how long?
9 months now.
Your claim is that Ms. Shively had you falsely arrested for stalking.
That is correct, yes.
And you want to be compensated. And Ms. Shively says that she feared for her safety because of your behavior, and she had every right to have you arrested. So I'm coming to you, Ms. Shively. Tell me what caused you to file the complaint. And I would like to read the complaint and see the police report that was generated by you.
There's some other documents.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On May 19th, Miss Sperry, that was the first contact I had with her, and it wasn't really contact. I noticed her following us. We were picking up some leaves. A neighbor had cut his trees down so we could see to drive around the corner. So we were out putting those into the truck to take them to the dump, and Miss Sperry kept driving back and forth. This was on a Thursday. It was not her day with the kids.
May 19th.
May 19th.
All right.
On May 19th, 10 a.m., I left my home to go to a doctor's appointment at where I have been going to the doctor for about the past 10 years. I arrived at 10 minutes after 11, saw the doctor, got the prescription filled, drove down 2 main roads in the neighborhood to go to the back side of it, where it's a large neighborhood, but it's got very main roads that people use all the time. To go to the back side, to go to the Wendy's drive-thru, get a grilled chicken sandwich, and go to work. At that time, I was in sales, and I worked in the immediate area.
Did you drive by their home on May 19th?
No.
Yes, you did.
When I got to the back of the neighborhood, at a traffic light, I noticed a burgundy van in front of me. It's windowless. And I looked, and he's got plates that say on them. I thought, oh, crap, I'm right behind Jeff. I couldn't see in that van. There is not a single window on it.
Just a second. So what you're saying is you live about an hour away, and on May 19th, you were in the vicinity of their home. Okay, next.
But she had driven by 6 times before she was behind us in the burgundy van.
I got it. Go
Okay.
ahead. Keep going. What's
Okay.
next?
There were several other incidences. There was a June 7th incident. I had been taking her daughter, Allison, who's 11, to my tanning salon, not to tan, but she has some scars on her legs, and there's a spray type of tan you can use, and it covered them a little, so she was a little more confident. I never asked Beth. Jeff had given me permission to take her there, and Beth had gone into the salon, raised a scene. When I went in the next time, the ladies told me about it. I felt terrible, that I felt like I stepped on her toes, so I called her. And I said, listen, we need to talk. I didn't mean to do anything against you. I was just trying to help Allison, and is there a way we can do this together? And we met in a parking lot. I gave her my cell phone number at that time because her and her ex-husband don't get along at all, thinking that perhaps I could keep them from fighting in front of the kids, arguing back and forth, because I care about the kids. It started out, she would call asking for little things like to help with the kids, and that was fine, but then it turned into Bass Jeff sessions. How bad he is, how he's going to beat me in 2 years, how he's charming at first, but he beats women, and I didn't want to listen to that anymore. And I told her to stop contacting me. There became an incident.
Okay. Now let's go back to the incident at the tanning salon. What happened at the tanning salon?
On the weekend prior to June 7th, my daughter happened to mention that she'd gone to the tanning salon with Wendy, and I said, oh, and I knew she was self-conscious of the scars. I understood completely. But I didn't really know who signed the paper, and in my mind, I didn't mind that she went. It wasn't a problem, so I did go by the tanning salon. I said,
why?
Just to see who signed the paper. I was just curious. It did have her signature, and I said, you know, she's really not her parent or guardian. She really shouldn't have signed that. So I signed one. I filled out consent forms for both of my daughters. I didn't object. I thought it was very nice that their father had met somebody finally after 3.5 years, and the girl spoke very nicely about Ms. Shively. I was thrilled that, you know, they had somebody to enjoy their time with as well.
Well, that's very nice, but then I don't understand why you were curious to see who had signed the consent form.
Because...
Shh. Oh. Then I don't understand why you were curious enough to make a trip to the tanning salon to see who had signed the consent form, if it was a good thing. Mm-hmm. If their father has primary physical custody of the children, so certainly he can consent.
Oh, certainly.
And he can delegate someone else to consent.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see, despite the fact that what you're saying now is all peaches and cream and all light and fluff, why you would go to the tanning salon and say, no, I'm going to sign a consent form.
I just, as a parent, just offered it because, again, I didn't want it to come back. But at the same time, I did.
It was stupid.
Yeah, it was. And again, I was only, you know, I was on my way to pick up my children.
You were tweaked. So. You were tweaked and peaked.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's had the same boyfriend even while she was still living in my house. That's kind of what happened here. You know, basically, Wendy is the best thing that ever happened to me and my daughters, and I just think she's jealous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Sperry says her ex-husband's girlfriend, Wendy Shively, had her falsely arrested for stalking. Wendy says she had no other choice.
Did your husband receive custody of these children with your consent, or was it a court order?
No, it was with consent because he is the only one who lived in the school district. I lived 3 miles away, and we did not want them to be moved. So no, back in May of '03, we consented that he would have primary physical for school enrollment purposes.
So when you moved an hour away, you made no request to have the children move with you?
No, I have not. Not at this point. I have...
Stand up a second. I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Mr. Corey, am I correct that there has been no request by your former wife to change the custody arrangement?
She's tried in a roundabout way of doing it.
How?
Before Father's Day this year, that's one of the things that Wendy had a problem with her. She basically filled out some...
Okay, then let Wendy tell me. Why don't you sit down? What happened on Father's Day?
She showed up prior to Father's Day at my apartment. She called me and told me she had just dropped off her kids. I never gave her my address, mind you. She had just dropped off her kids.
How did you get her address?
I did not have her address. I just knew that she lived in an apartment complex on the back side of the neighborhood.
How did you know that?
My children talked to me, and the only thing is they said, Wendy lives where Dad used to live. And I said, where? And they said, the apartments. And I said, oh. He had moved out to the apartment complex 4 years prior, and that's all I knew.
When she called and said she was coming over to bring something, I said, okay, I'll meet you. I didn't want her in my apartment because I was there by myself. So I asked her to meet me in front of the leasing office, well-lit public place. She supposedly had some document that changed the whole custody agreement between the two of them to a 50-50 arrangement. But she didn't give me that document. That's what she was bringing for me to take to Jeff to try to convince him to sign.
You have a copy of that document?
She does.
I have it here. This is the actual printed copy, and I wasn't trying to change anything. The only thing I was interested in doing was starting the weekend of Father's Day, which happened to fall on my weekend. He could actually have the children that weekend, and we would alternate from there.
What's the support order in this case?
A child support order from May 2003. That's never been...
In what amount?
$473 a month.
Are you paying that?
It's not for me to pay, it's for him to pay me. Back when we separated, when we had 50-50, he made 3 times the money I made. So for a year and a half, when we
Here, just a second. I'm talking about right now.
Right now, there is no order in place for me to pay him. Since I have the children half of the week, and then on the weekends...
You don't have the children half the week. You don't have the children half the week.
I carry their health insurance, and again, he makes 3 times the money I make. So
I don't care.
There has not been a change with regard to that.
Well, there should be, sir.
I know there should.
Okay. Well, what is the September 2000, October 2004 order with regard to visitation?
I have those.
Well, I want to see it because that's what the court's affirming.
Yeah, we basically went to court 5 times.
I want to see the last order. Do you have it, sir?
No, I don't, but I think I could shed some light on this for you.
Please, stand up, because that's what I want to see. This last order here merely says that the order of October 22nd is modified to provide for overnight visitation, alternate weekends, Friday to Sunday. What you gave to her contains 7 things, including holidays, major parts of the summer, etc. Now, you want to shed light? I'm more than happy to hear you.
This is what happened. We basically had 50-50 custody with our kids. In our original paperwork, I put that if she moved more than 30 miles away from where we both lived, which I knew she was going to be moving out to the Fredericksburg, Culpeper area. She's had the same boyfriend even while she was still living in my house. That's kind of what happened here. She moved out there without telling me a word. When I found out, I went back to court. They basically said, the girls can't live out there with you. I ended up getting custody of my kids full time. And basically what she has now is she'll pick them up from me, drive them around in circles till she brings them back at 7 o'clock at night. It's a total fiasco. My kids are getting dropped off who knows where, and she doesn't even spend the time she has with them. That's a serious problem. They are 12, 11, and 7. My daughters are preteen, and they think they're going on 20. It's a problem. Their problem with me is I have rules. When they're with their mother, nobody's around to see if they're weighing the rules or not. You know, basically, Wendy is the best thing that ever happened to me and my daughters, and I just think she's jealous. All I want is to be left alone. I never wanted child support from her.
Okay,
and
well,
I
you can't be
even
left
do that.
alone, sir, because you picked this lady to be the mother of your children.
I understand
and she's
that.
going to be the mother of your children forever.
But should I be penalized for being stupid at 24?
Well,
For
listen.
the rest of my life?
Listen, should your children be penalized?
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm saying to you, sir. They have a mother. And for better or worse, they have two parents. It's not a good thing for them not to feel loved and supported by both parents. Now, children, in situations like this where you live far away from each other and have to live with one parent or another, they're living with you. That's
they're
great.
happy doing it.
That's great. And I can understand her perspective of she would like to have her children with her. She made her choices 4 years ago, and unfortunately, now she would like to have her choice and the children too. That's not going to happen. Exactly. Do you understand that?
Oh, I understand.
Good. You can't have your choice, your heart, and your children. You're left. That's it. That doesn't mean that she's going to leave you alone. She's not going to leave you alone because that's what happens. She's not smart enough to leave you alone. She's not smart enough to say, this is it, this is the story, and she will continue to fight you for your children. Children will get older. You'll make a rule for your 15-year-old. You won't like a boyfriend. She'll say, I'm going to mommy. Get over it. It's going to happen. That's what happens when people get divorced. Now you can sit down. Now, tell me the rest of the stalking, madam, so that I can make a judgment with regard to this case.
Okay.
And move on.
The following at the tanning salon, the following me in the car, there were, all the instances are listed there. I don't remember them all now. Factored in with, I was afraid all the time because she didn't represent herself as a stable, sane person to me. And I don't mean to be mean, but that's what it was. So I was
Give me an
afraid.
example.
Trying to sneak over that custody agreement, she showed up with the custody agreement and then wouldn't even give it to me. She asked for my email, saying it wasn't dark enough for me to read. Could she email it? She was trying to gather more information. I handed her over my email address, though, thinking, great, it'll stop the phone calls, and she won't be bashing her husband. She'll be sending me email. But I'm afraid of her. The final straw was Father's Day when I picked her children up Father's Day evening at McDonald's. Was afraid they would get into it because it was a bad day for everybody. Picked him up. She came storming over to my car, yelling, give me Taylor's cell phone. His daughter had a cell phone, which her father took away because she was using it to deceive and lie to him. He gave Beth plenty of warning that he would take it away if he ever saw it again. She told her to sneak it in the house in her backpack and keep it on vibrate so her dad didn't know. So she was storming over at me, got right in my face. I rolled up my window and drove away, but I was very afraid of her at that time, and that's what precipitated the police report.
Anything else you want to tell me?
I would like to tell my side of the story because this is just totally made up. I did meet Ms. Shively for the first time on June 7th. She did call, asked if we could talk, indicated she didn't want to have any problems. I agreed. Talked for about 20 minutes, offered me her cell phone number. It was very nice. So I left and got the girls, and my daughter saw her at the pool standing at the fence with her son, so they walked over to say hi. I took a glass of water to want a cup, and Mr. Corey pulled up and said, make a new friend. I'd pass on that, and I left with my middle daughter. 5 minutes later, he called me and left me a very nasty email saying she sees right through you, that sort of scenario. He's basically saying, while I have my children with me, I'm stalking her.
Your children aren't with you when you have them.
On 5:30, I picked up the girls on 5:29.
Tell me about the incident with the cell phone.
With regard to the cell phone, I had given my daughter a cell phone back in October. I showed up to get her. And that evening, I got a very nasty email from him telling me that he doesn't want me to come by anymore to get the girls to meet him at McDonald's. That's fine. At 6 p.m., I showed up at McDonald's. Ms. Shively was there to get the children. I got out of the vehicle with my daughters, walked to her car, and I said, "Did you bring the cell phone with me?" I had left a message on Friday at his house saying, "I'd like to get my cell phone back." Did this in front of 3 people. It was not nasty. She said, "No, I don't have it." And I said, "Well, can you go get it?" And she said, "No, he says he'll give it to you when you go to court." And I said, "What does assault and my cell phone have to do with each other?" She said, "I don't know, don't put me in the middle." And I said, "Fine." And I walked away, got in my car, I drove to the police station, which was a couple miles away, and I told the officer, "He's got my property. I've been going through this kind of abuse for 4 years. I want my cell phone back.
Where were your girls when you went to the police station?
They had just left with Ms. Shively, so I went by myself.
So you dropped the children off and you went to the police station?
Correct, because I did want my property returned to me. He had no right to confiscate it.
Just a second. You had no property.
I had a cell.
Oh, dear. You gave the cell phone to your daughter. Listen to
Okay.
me. That's a gift.
Okay.
It's not your property.
Okay.
Okay. So let me tell you, I have to make a judgment as to whether or not your actions, just listen,
Okay.
whether your actions were sufficient to cause her to feel fearful enough to seek a protective order. Okay. And I'm going to refer to two objective things that you did, because I don't know, I wasn't there. I couldn't tell, based upon what either one of you tell me, whether or not you were making calls to her and saying bad things about him. I can't tell whether or not you were, in fact, driving back and forth. There's no videotape of you driving back and forth, but you did two things that suggest to me that you're more angry than you seem. I'm speaking. That you're more angry than you would seem to want to convey to me. One, for no apparent reason, you went to the tanning salon because you were curious about who signed the consent. There was no reason for you to be curious. Your former husband has physical custody of these children. He can do whatever he wants to do. I assume it was in the children's best interest. As a matter of fact, you agree that it was in the children's best interest, but your nose was tweaked as to who signed the consent. And not only did you go there, but once you saw that she had signed the consent, you said to them, "She's not their mother. I'm their mother. Give me the forms. I will sign the consent," because that's what objectively you did. The second thing you objectively did was, after you dropped the children off in June with regard to this cell phone, instead of just saying, "Listen, I'm not going to get myself exercised over this cell phone, I'm going to the police." The police over a cell phone? And you knew why he had taken the cell phone away from her. He took the cell phone away from her because she wasn't doing the right thing. Ms. Shively probably had good cause to file a complaint against you. In any event, your complaint for false arrest is dismissed. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Daniel Holcomb is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old Allison Walters, for money loaned and for money he claims she stole.
Yes, case number 232 on the calendar in the matter of Holcomb versus Walters. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Holcomb, you and Miss Waters dated for a period of time, and it is your claim that you made a loan to her when she was in some financial distress with her rent.
Yes.
And then subsequently, she took some money out of your wallet.
Yes.
Without your permission. The total of that is $800. Ms. Walters says that you were always generous, that there was never any... Stop tapping. There was never any intention to create a loan situation with regard to this rent money, and that you told her, ultimately, that she could have the $300 that she took out of your wallet. When were you and the defendant seeing each other, sir?
I would say late in the year, last year.
I didn't meet you till January.
January? Okay.
Yes.
So about that time.
Around January of 2005? And how long were you dating?
A few months, maybe till March or April.
It was only till March.
And that's incorrect, because of the loan.
When did you make this $500 loan?
On April 1st.
Tell me about the conversation that you had.
I was at work, and she called me saying that her rent's due. Her check hasn't come from her boyfriend.
From her boyfriend?
Not her boyfriend, but she has like a...
Baby's father.
Her baby's father, yeah.
You get child support from your child's father?
Yes.
For the child?
Yes.
How old is that child?
21 months.
Did you call him on April 1st indicating to him that you were short on rent money?
Yes, I did. And he had always given me money. Okay.
You called him and said what?
That I needed help paying my rent and if I could borrow some money or if he could lend me money because he had always given me money before.
And what did he say to you?
He said, of course.
And he wrote out a check.
Actually, he gave me cash.
How much cash did he give you?
$500. And I paid my rent.
Good. So why don't you pay him back?
Because then later on he told me that I didn't have to pay him back. And I thought because he would always give me money and because how I met him was he placed an ad, who wants $300 to go for a date because he couldn't get a date, I thought that maybe I didn't need to pay him back.
Miss Walters,
Yes.
you just said to me that you called him up and said, could I borrow $500 from you?
Yes.
And he said yes.
Yes, and then I couldn't pay him back when he wanted me to pay him back. And
Just
then,
a sec. Okay. Why couldn't you pay him back?
well, I offered to pay him back, and he told me I didn't have to.
So when did you offer to pay him back?
Probably in May.
What did he say when you offered him the money?
He told me I didn't have to pay him back.
Tell me where you were.
At my house.
What time of the day or evening?
It must have been the middle of the day because he was at work.
So you called him on the phone?
I think I emailed him.
Well, try to think.
I emailed him because that's
And
how I
what did you say
communicated
in
with
the
him mostly.
email?
I told him that I was short on rent and that I should.
No. I'm talking about when you were going to pay him back. You said you had the money.
Oh, I told him that I had the money, that I finally got in the check and that I could pay him back.
So you emailed him again?
Yes.
Ditzy. And what did he say when you emailed him at work and said, I now have the $500?
He told me okay, and then he never came to get it, and I was like, when are you going to come get it? And we weren't talking really at this point anymore. And then eventually I was like, okay, and he never paid it back. I mean, I never paid it back.
Did you think this was going to be easy,
No.
this double talk?
No.
Where did he say to you in all of this baloney that you just gave me, madam, you don't have to pay it back?
I have emails probably somewhere saved that I didn't have to pay him back.
Well, did you think that you were coming here today to a cotillion?
No.
If you have emails from him that you say you have saved, saying that you don't have to pay him back, where were you saving them? What were you saving them for? You were going to line a hope chest with them? No. This is where you're supposed to bring them, Miss Walters.
I don't have an actual computer. I use my phone. It has a computer in it. So I couldn't print them out or anything like that.
Does the father of your child visit with him?
Yes.
What does he do?
He's a catering manager.
Well, maybe between the two of you, the child has a chance.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so she owes you $500 for rent, Mr. Holcomb.
Yes.
Now let's get to the other $300. Could you tell me how that came about?
Well,
what do you do for a living, by the way?
Oh, I'm a computer programmer.
What did you have to talk to her about?
In general?
In anything? Did you talk about anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a relationship.
He cheated on his wife for 3 months. That's what he did.
That's a possibility, Miss Walters. I just wanted to know if he had a conversation with you about anything.
Yeah.
All right. Let me hear the $300, Mr. Holcomb.
Okay, so after the rent situation, I wanted to get back the money. So I stayed friends with her, hoping to get the money back. And I told her, it's for the allowance for our household. And she understood that, and she was going to give it back to me. But I had to, walk around with kid gloves, you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise she would be, temperamental and say...
Temperamental.
Well, she would just kind of give me that impression.
Get to the $300, sir.
Okay, so we went to Black Angus, and we had dinner that night, and we had a few drinks. We went to my car. I put my wallet in the crevice right below the stereo, and then I started my car, and then she grabbed the wallet. And I grabbed it too, because
How many
of
other
her
times
personality, right? So we're tugging, and she's pretty strong. I mean, she grabbed that wallet, pulled it to her, away from me, and she looked aside, and she saw $500. Well, she threw the wallet back at me, stuffed the $500 down her shirt, and I said, "You better give that back to me." I was arguing with her, and she was being teasing and laughing and stuff. And she also had a few drinks, so she was kind of out of it in a sense. And I was like, "Come on, that's my money." I gave her reasons, family, all that.
What family, Mr. Holcomb?
My family.
Your wife and children? How
Yes.
many children do you have, sir?
4.
Were you living at home at the time?
Yes.
Are you living at home now?
Right now, I'm not at home, no.
Where are you living now?
Here in Burbank.
Alone?
No, actually with my father.
That's what he told me in the first place.
When did you leave home?
Well, we bought a house in Montana, and we just settled in at the end of this month, last month. And I've been here for about 2 weeks now. And my wife and family are in Montana.
And they intend to stay there?
Mm-hmm.
And you intend to stay here?
I'm not sure yet.
If your wife is smart, she'll stay in Montana.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you think Mr. Holcomb's wife would want him to sue you on a television program viewed by 10 million people?
Probably. She doesn't seem that bright.
She doesn't seem that bright.
No.
Out of the frying pan.
And later today,
Your Honor, I have to say, otherwise my mom will kill me, that she loves you very much, more than you actually. Grandma, she wishes that was her mom. She would have done better in life. Okay, anyway.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel Holcomb says ex-girlfriend Allison Walters owes for a loan and for money he claims she stole. Allison says she was Daniel's mistress for 3 months.
No. So she gave you back $200 of the $500 that she stuffed in her blouse?
Yeah, it was a big argument, and she finally threw money at me.
When you drove her home that night, where did you go?
Down
My
to
house.
her studio apartment in Van Nuys.
Did you sleep over?
No.
No.
Have you been back to her apartment since?
Yes.
When?
We still were hanging out.
What does that mean, you're still hanging out?
We were still friends. After I found out he was married and everything that was a lie, I still wanted to be his friend because he wasn't allowed to have any friends. So, and he got along with my kid, and he was really nice. He helped me out, and when I needed help, he bought me a refrigerator, he bought me a camera, he bought me a bunch of stuff, he helped me with bills. He's probably given me, I don't know, $3,000 in total, but he's suing me for this $800.
Why do you think that is?
Because his wife found out.
So?
So she got mad. So he's suing me for what she found out about.
Ms. Walters, do you think that Mr. Holcomb's wife would want him to sue you on a television program that is viewed by 10 million people in order to get back a fraction of the amount of money that he's given you over the course of the few months that you dated?
I've only talked to her on the phone once, but the way he talks about her, probably. She doesn't seem that bright.
She doesn't seem that bright.
No.
Out of the frying pan. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. Give him back his money, Miss Walters. That's all.
Why these are excused? You may step out.
Oh, he wasn't married. He only had 2 kids. He was lying every other day.
She didn't know I was married way beforehand.
I'm not going to be with somebody who's married.
Enough was enough.
Don't listen to guys off the internet.
Be smart, I guess.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fallick versus Watson. Step forward, please.
Bernice Fallick is suing her granddaughter's ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Marvin Watson, for unpaid loans and collect calls from jail.
This is your granddaughter.
Yes, it is.
Your first name is?
Nicole,
Who do you live with, Nicole?
I live on my own right now, Your Honor.
Where were you living when you were involved with Mr. Watson?
I was living at my grandmother's house, Your Honor.
How old are you?
I'm 24 years old, Your Honor.
What do you do for a living, Nicole?
I'm a hostess.
Hostess
Your Honor.
where?
At the Outback Steakhouse.
For how long?
I've been with that company, Your Honor, for 8 years.
So you have a responsible job?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have any children?
No, Your Honor.
Perfect. So you have no children, you have a responsible job.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ever had any trouble with drugs, alcohol?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
So far, is all that correct, Miss Fallick?
Absolutely, yes, Your Honor.
She only had 1 lapse.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I have to say, otherwise my mom will kill me, that she loves you. Now we can go on.
Thank you.
Very much, more than you actually. Grandma, she wishes that was her mom. She would have done better in life. Okay, anyway.
All right, Miss Fallick.
Yes.
This is what your lawsuit is about. Mr. Watson somehow wangled his way into your granddaughter's heart,
Yes.
and then he went off to jail.
Yes.
For what?
For violating a restraining order
What kind of restraining order?
and no contact
No contact with who?
with my daughter's mom.
And she got a restraining order because you were abusive?
No.
Because you were stalking her?
No.
Well, how did she get a restraining order?
She didn't want me to see my daughter.
How many times did you violate the restraining order?
Just once.
How badly did you violate it?
I went to the daycare and picked up my daughter.
So you had an order that said you weren't allowed to go near the child unsupervised as well.
Until I appeared in court, yes.
And you didn't like somebody telling you what to do.
Yes.
Got it. I'm just trying to develop the personality here. Now, Mr. Watson, was that the first time you were ever incarcerated? What word didn't
No.
you understand, Mr. Watson? Was that the first time you were ever incarcerated?
No, it's not.
What were you incarcerated for previously, sir?
For assault.
Assaulting who?
Someone I don't know.
A stranger?
Yep.
Where did you assault this stranger?
At a bar.
All right. Now, did the mother of your child allege, I didn't say you did it, but did the mother of your child allege that you also assaulted her?
No.
That you threatened her?
No.
She just said, I want a restraining order, and didn't allege anything.
Yes. No.
Well, we sort of, you know, in the family court where I used to work, we used to give out those restraining orders where there was no proof, nobody asked for anything. We'd have every other Monday. We just said, anybody wants a restraining order, you come on in, you don't have to say anything. We just give them out. Now, how long were you incarcerated for, sir?
For 2 years.
You were incarcerated for 2 years for violating a restraining order?
Oh, well, the first time when I got arrested, that's what I was in jail for. But for the restraining order, I was only in jail for 3 months.
2 years for an assault?
Yeah.
Must have been a pretty bad assault. And the second time you were in jail for 3 months. That must have been some violation. And while you were in jail, Miss Fallick says she did everything that she could to make it easier for you. You called her house 2-3 times a day, collect. And how much was your phone bill?
A total of $563.
Is that for the 3 months?
It was 3.5 months.
3.5 months. And then she gave her granddaughter money so that she could put the money in your bank account because you didn't like the prison food.
Yes.
Tell me what he said to you.
His exact words were, I'm losing weight. I cannot eat the prison food. I need to buy food in the wherever. I don't know anything about prison.
Commissary.
And also, he said he needed toiletries, and he played on my sympathies. I really felt sorry for him. And he asked for $20 a week, which I gave him all the time he was in jail. And he said to me, I have $4,000 in the bank. When I come out, I will pay you. And I hear his words in my ears, I will pay you back. Also, one other thing I did. The night he was arrested, he called my house. He asked if we could please pick up his keys at the jail and bring his car, because he was afraid it would be vandalized, and bring his car to my development and put it in my parking spot, which I did until he came out.
How much did that cost you each month?
I broke it down. It was $45 a month, but December, he came out around December 18th. I just did half, and that came out to $157.50.
And the $20 a week, how much was that, Miss Fallick?
$260.
You used to go to visit him?
Yes, Your Honor. I went a few times to visit him. That's when I would go to leave the money on the books, Your Honor. I would do that all on the same day, Your Honor.
Well, what happened when he got out of jail?
He got out of jail, Your Honor, and he did make an attempt. He paid my grandma $31. He said that was his tips that he made for moving, Your Honor. And then after that, Your Honor, he said that we're not getting the rest of our money and to take him to court.
Why is that, Mr. Watson?
I never agreed to paying Ms. Fallick back or Nicole back any money. I never asked any of them for the money that they was giving me. Nicole offered to help me out. Nicole said that don't worry about any of the costs, it's inexpensive. I don't owe them anything. She was being nice out of the kindness of her heart. I never asked them for anything.
Who's kind hearts?
Out of hers and her grandma's, I guess. I never asked them for anything, not one dime.
Did you have to, sir, give permission to have the jail authorities turn over your car keys to Nicole and or her grandmother? Or do you think that the jail turned over your car keys to anybody who said, I came for his car keys? Do you know what I'm talking to you about? Do you know what I'm saying to you? You will not think faster than I, Mr. Watson. You are not that smart. When you were incarcerated, they came and picked up your car keys. Now, do you think that the prison authorities just turn over your car keys to anybody who walks in and says, I want Watson's car keys?
No.
So you had to have given permission for one or both of them to come and get your car keys. Is that right?
I didn't just turn over my car
Just a second.
keys.
Just to answer my question.
Yes.
Now, what were they supposed to do with your car?
Nicole was, my mother was picking up my car.
They would not have turned over your car keys to these two ladies if your mother was supposed to come and pick up your car, because I got news for you. I don't think your mother looks like them.
Okay.
You get me?
I get you.
I don't like liars, Mr. Watson. I don't like criminals, I don't like liars, and when there's a combination, it's deadly. Miss Fallick is not telling me any sort of a lie when she said that she spoke to you and you said you don't like the prison food, you're losing weight. Now, she may have been operating out of the goodness of her heart. I think she was.
So why would I
think she was.
For toilet paper? They give you toilet paper in there. She just said that I said I didn't have any toilet paper. They give you toilet paper
not
too.
toilet paper. Not toilet
What did she say when she said it?
I'm going to tell you what she said, sir.
Okay.
You got to go to a little advanced education. There's a difference between toilet paper and toiletries.
Okay.
Mr. Smarty Pants.
Okay.
You know the difference?
I know now. You just told me.
Well, what are toiletries? Did you make an error in judgment, Nicole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't repeat it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $980. That's all.
Thank you.
Brenda Nicholson is suing her nephew, 23-year-old Donald Frank Jr., for smashing her TV and VCR. Donald says Brenda assaulted his mother.
Come to order, all rise.
Guys, case number 125 on the calendar in the matter of Nicholson versus Frank. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Nicholson, this young man is your nephew, and it is your claim that during some sort of a family dispute, your nephew purposely broke your television, which was a combination television VCR. And Mr. Frank says that it did break during the course of this altercation, an altercation that was started by you, involving his mother, when you made a scene in the house. It was an unfortunate accident, but it was brought about because of your behavior. When did this incident take place, Miss Nicholson?
Approximately December 13th, 2004.
I gather from your complaint that you had been temporarily staying with your sister?
Yes, I have been staying with my sister.
Why?
Basically, I did not want to live by myself when my youngest son graduated from high school.
So your sister took you in?
Yes.
That was very nice of her. So what happened on December 13th?
I came home from Savon's. I took the bus to Savon, took a taxi home. When I came home on the taxi, I had one key to one of the locks on the door, but there were two locks on the door, and someone's always locking one of the locks. So the one key I had was no good. So I had to knock on the door and let somebody...
You got ahead of yourself. You took a taxi home, but you had no money.
I took a taxi home, but I didn't have enough money to pay the taxi.
So if you took a taxi home, you didn't have enough money. You didn't have money.
Yeah, so
Why
I
didn't
needed
you
to get in the house.
Why didn't you take the bus home?
It was getting late, and I was doing homework. And so I didn't want to take the bus. I had got orange juice and cranberry juice and notebook paper. I needed notebook paper because I ran out of notebook paper doing my homework. I go to DeVry University. So I was getting a taxi because I have a bad back, and I didn't want to be carrying all this stuff. It's a long walk from the bus stop to her house. So I got a taxi, didn't have enough change. I need to go in the house, go in my little locked cabinet.
How much money did you need?
About $3.
So?
So when you have a taxi waiting, they can call the police if they think you're not coming back. So it was taking so long at the door, I start ringing the doorbell and saying, "Hey, it's me, Brenda, at the door. Come open the door. I got a taxi waiting." Well, they didn't want to come to the door for some reason, so I started banging on the door. "Open the door. I got a taxi waiting." They took their time coming to the door. So when my sister did come to the door, she stood there like, "So?" And I said, "Deborah, it's me. Open the door. I got a taxi waiting." And then she said, "So?" And then she finally opened the door, and I said, "Gee, it's a lot of trouble when you have a taxi waiting. They can call the police on you. It's a serious matter. And, I just want to get some money to pay this taxi." That's when Donald come out the door and said, "Mama, you don't have to take that off of her." And I'm going like, what does he got to do with it? But I had to unlock my cabinet to get my money out of it. And so when I went outside and paid the taxi real quick, and he said, "Thank you, no problem," and came back in, I said, "Donald, it ain't none of your business what I got to do with your mother when I'm talking to her about something I got to do." And he goes, "Mama, you don't have to take that. You should sock her." And that's when all the stuff got started. So she got all up in my face with, I don't know what she was saying, but here come her boyfriend talking about, "Yeah, you should kick her." And he grabbed me, And she went to hit me, but I was falling back because he was grabbing me, and I socked her, and I was kicking and everything because they had me, you know, and I'm going like, I'm trying to defend myself. They swinging, and he had me by this side, and I don't know, he knocked me on my couch, and he was laying all on my left side, which later became all bruised up and in a lot of pain. I had to go see the doctor behind all that, okay? And then he went over, and I don't know, he just, I don't know, started having a fit. He went over there and just took my TV up and went to the middle of the floor, and I'm up here watching my TV get bashed into the floor. Kabam! Then it's not a combined set. He went and got the VCR next, and he went and he bammed it into the floor. And I'm going like, what is he doing? At the same time, I'm down here, she up there, and then he went that way.
Enough.
So,
I heard enough.
and I got pictures. Say something, Tommy.
I'll take the pictures if you be quiet.
So can I tell you something else?
No. Donald, do you like your aunt, or did you like her before December 13th?
Yes, I love my aunt.
So tell me what happened on December 13th.
She came home, she beating on the door, loud like she the police. Then she got mad because she didn't have enough money. That's her fault.
What did she say?
I don't really know what she said.
Remember what time it was?
It was like 11 o'clock. I had to be in the, I had to go to work in the morning.
But his music was loud?
I didn't. Listen to me. See how quiet he was when you were telling me what happened?
Yes.
That's how quiet I want you to be now.
Okay.
And then my mother opened the door. She started hollering and fussing at her. She ran out the door. She came back and kept on fussing. And then they just started getting in each other's face, arguing, and then she started throwing blows. I was trying to break up the fight, and she was still trying to kick her. And I was holding her, and I hit the TV because she kicked her, and she bumped into me, and I went like that, and it just fell. And that's how it went.
Anything else break other than her TV and VCR?
The VCR is not even hers.
Whose is it?
That's my cousin's.
You mean she didn't bring it when she moved into the house?
No. My
Is that
cousin
right?
brought that there.
That's true.
So it's just the TV?
Yes.
But the VCR did get broken?
No.
She says it got broken. It would be helpful for you if the VCR also got broken.
I don't really know what happened to the VCR.
Well, she says the VCR got broken, accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally, yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let's say $200 that you could buy a new 19-inch color television set for.
Yes, at that time.
No,
Okay.
today.
Oh, today it costs much less.
And later today,
So you acknowledge, sir, that this one was bogus.
That's what you say. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I said
Yeah,
that's what you
now,
guys
hey,
said. That's
Bronx,
what you guys said. I
Brooklyn,
didn't say
listen
that.
to me very carefully, sir. Uncross your hands.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brenda Nicholson says her nephew, Donald Frank Jr., smashed her TV in a fit of rage. Donald says Brenda had just assaulted his mom.
When did your aunt move out of the house?
Like a week after.
Put your hand down. She stayed in the house for another week?
Yes.
Was everybody
Because
talking?
she had to build up some money before she could get her own place.
Was everybody talking after that? Did everybody calm down?
Yeah, we started talking, but still.
When for the first time did she want money for the television?
2 months after, because she be needing money, and she just trying to use that to get money out of me. Or
What did you tell her?
I told her that I will get her another TV.
Did you do that?
No, because I had got laid off.
Here we go. Put your hand down. The finger down and the hand. So you did say, Auntie, I'll get you another TV.
Yeah, because I thought it was my fault because I bumped the TV.
Good. Well, then you promised to get her another TV, Mr. Frank. You have a bill for the TV? Not for one that you went and bought, madam.
I didn't go buy one. I'm renting a TV. And that's not how it went.
I don't care how it went. He says that you won. Now he admits that he told you he would buy you a new TV. At first he said in his answer that he didn't tell you he was going to buy you a new TV, that it was an accident. Oh, Sony Trinitron. You want a Sony Trinitron. This was, when did you buy this?
In the year either 1999 or 2000.
Well, I mean, it looks as if it's at least 6 years old. This is a brand new 24-inch digital television set.
Oh, no, it wasn't digital.
No, the one that you want.
Huh? No, I asked him to replace me a TV because I didn't have
How many
one.
inches is this television set?
I think 20 inches.
No,
Between
it's
20
not.
and 20.
19.
Bert, how big is this TV?
It's not even bigger than mine. Mine is a 19
It's be
inch.
about
It's a 19
19
It's a
inch.
19 to 20.
And a 19-inch bird. And it's a color, right?
Yes.
What brand is it?
Sony.
This one, not the one that you want, madam. This one.
No, it's not the one I want. The TV I had, well, let me say, I don't remember what brand it is.
Do you remember what brand it was? Anybody?
It might have been an RCA.
Sanyo.
Sanyo?
It wasn't no Sanyo. No, it was not a Sanyo.
RCA or a
It might
Sanyo?
have been an RCA or
It's a
Sony.
RCA.
Okay, RCA. Give me a price, Bert.
$150.
Yeah, probably. Let's say, be generous.
At that time.
$200. Be
At that
generous.
time when I bought it.
Right.
$200.
Yes.
Okay, that you could buy a new 19-inch color television set for.
Yes, at that time.
No,
Tax.
today.
Oh, today it costs much less. Can I tell you about the VCR?
I don't want to hear about the VCR.
It was given to me, though.
I don't want to hear about the VCR. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay, she could get a nice 19-inch color television set for that?
she can get next.
Well, the fact that you're renting from Rent-A-Center, a big, Geschichte.
That's the only kind they had. That's the only kind they had.
Well, I think you should give it back to them and go buy
I
yourself one
wanted
for
to give it
$150.
back, and I did tell Donald to help me with
Thank you
payments
very
or
much.
give me a TV
Goodbye.
right away.
He's going to do it for you right now.
Parties are
$150.
excused.
Thank you
You can
very much.
step out.
Thank you very much.
Every night she come home whining and complaining and cussing at us, putting us down. And she got degrees and all this, and we don't.
I go to school, so I want everybody to go to school.
Loud talking and screaming at people and stuff.
I don't try to put anybody down. I have a loud voice, natural.
She was wrestling around like we on Jerry Springer or something. I'm Steve trying to break up the fight.
Oh, it's gonna be bright. Now I can help them again and put all this behind us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lindstrom versus Awad. Step forward, please.
Aspasia Lindstrom is suing 27-year-old Khalid Awad for selling her a bogus Ms. Pac-Man machine. Khalid says she got what she paid for.
Miss Lindstrom, it is your claim that the defendant sold you something that he misrepresented on eBay.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Awad says that he made no representations with regard to this product. You saw it, you had the opportunity to purchase it or not, you bought it as is, and he bears no responsibility. That's your defense. Is that
Exactly.
right, sir?
Yep.
Huh?
Exactly, yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I own a pizza shop.
You run it, you own it.
Own it.
Where?
Bronx, New York.
But you're also an entrepreneur, is that right?
Yeah,
With
you can say
regard
that.
to other businesses.
Of course. Trying to make money.
Now, you purchased this game.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the advertisement?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Or whatever they put on eBay. What is it that they call?
Listing auction.
Listing. Okay. I have to get the lingo down, Pat, even though I don't work the machine. So this is your listing for what you call a Ms. Pac-Man full-size arcade midway.
Yep.
Good condition.
Yeah, it was.
And I see the picture of it.
Okay.
Are you jazzed up for any particular reason? Did you have too much sweets for lunch?
Coffee.
What? He's jazzed up.
From the Bronx.
I know. Where did you get this item from?
Well, I met a guy in upstate New York. He had a barn full of like arcades. So we
Where
made a
did you
deal
meet him?
on eBay, actually. He was selling arcades, and I bought like 3 for the pizza shop. And I went to pick him up, and he had like a whole barn full of them. I was like, all right.
Could
We
you
made
do me
deal.
a favor, Mr. Rawad?
Yeah.
I like it when you look in my eyes when you testify,
Okay.
instead of your shoes. It makes me
Gotcha.
feel more comfortable.
All right, so I bought 30 arcades from this guy, right? And,
When you went up to pick up
yeah,
your
I made a deal on
three,
yeah, exactly.
Could you let me finish? You know, it's like you're cutting me off. I'm going to start
My
to have
apologies,
a-
go ahead.
I'm going to start to have a speech impediment in a second if you don't let me finish. I finish my sentence, then I take a breath. You know that I stop talking when I take a breath.
I understand, go ahead.
So you went up to pick up your 3, and you decided to buy all of the arcades that he had?
I didn't say all, I said 30.
30?
Yes.
Did you examine all 30?
No.
You mean you bought them sight unseen?
Yeah, got a good deal.
When did you purchase them from this gentleman?
2.5 years ago, I'm not sure when.
I'm going to ask you some serious questions, Mr. Awad, so you have to be ready. First, take your hand out of your pocket. It'll help you think better. 2.5 years ago was when you purchased these 30 machines?
Yeah, about.
Was it wintertime or summertime?
It was winter.
And you drove up to?
What was the town again? I forgot what she was.
I won't know. I didn't go with you. Did he go with you?
Well, yeah, I think he did, yeah.
I think it was
Just a second. Stand up when you speak. Tell me your name.
Lawyer Awad, I think it was Peekskill.
Peekskill, not Peekskill.
Good. Peekskill is good. You're his brother?
Cousin.
Cousin. You have the same problem with your hand. You can sit down now. What's the matter? I was born this way. I was born this way.
You just know it's a New York case.
So you went up to Peekskill about 2.5 years ago, and you bought these 30 arcade games, sight unseen.
Exactly.
And how much did you pay for the 30 machines?
About $800.
And you paid him in cash?
Of course.
And what was his name?
Jesse something.
Jesse?
Yeah.
From Peekskill?
Yeah. Why is that funny?
No, it's not funny. I'm funny. Now, where did you store these 30 machines, Mr. Awad?
I had a second floor, so I just put them up there.
And how many have you sold over the last 2.5 years?
About all 30.
When you sold Miss Lindstrom hers, was that in the beginning of the sale of the 30 or towards the end?
The fifth to the last, about fifth.
Do you have any left?
No.
So after you've sold hers, you sold 4 more.
Yep.
You sure about that?
I would say about, 4 more, yeah.
Could it have been 3 more?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I wasn't keeping count, just selling them all, that's it.
What did your machine look like when it arrived?
Well, I have the pictures of what it looked like. It was in shrink wrap, like saran wrap. And this was at the top of that cupboard where the marquee is supposed to be.
Oh, you mean where he's got a light so you can't see that it's cardboard?
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
And so this is what makes it...
Just a second, I have to show this to Brady. He's interested. See?
Oh. Uh-huh.
Slippery, isn't he?
Pretty smart.
Who did you buy this for?
My husband. It was a wedding present for him.
Had you been shopping around for one of these arcade things?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
much do they usually cost?
If you're going to get an original, like a
good one.
A good one. You're going to look at like maybe $1,500, $1,200.
So this, for $600, was a real good deal?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know why it was a real good deal? Because according to Mr. Awad, he had 30 of them. By the time he sold you yours, he had already sold 25 bogus ones. Mm-hmm. Right?
No.
Sure. Because if you had only 4 or 5 left, you had already sold 25. There were enough idiots on there who said, listen, Awad is selling another one of his bogus machines. Let's, we're going to not pass over this.
Okay, one maybe. So did I know it was bogus?
Ooh, good.
Actually,
now we're talking, Mr. Awad. Now we're talking, so that you acknowledge, uncross your hands. So you acknowledge, sir, that this one was bogus. That's what you said.
That's what
so
you
you
say.
just said
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I said
Yeah,
that's what you guys
hey,
said.
Bronx,
That's what you guys said. I
Brooklyn,
didn't say
listen
that.
to me very carefully, sir. You just said to me, so just one was bogus.
That's what you said.
No, you said it.
No,
I
you
didn't
said
say
it first. I'm just repeating what you said.
All right, good. You want your money back?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a real smart guy. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $605. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Versus Newberry. Step forward, please.
Wendy Maston, the babysitter, took over mothering her good friend Anna Newberry's daughter when she became ill. A kindness that Wendy says brought her pain and loss.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, it's number 71 on the calendar in the matter of Maston versus Newberry.
Thanks, Bert.
You may be seated.
Ms. Masson, I read your complaint. You are suing the defendant for $1,000 in child care expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You were hired as a babysitter, and it seems from your complaint much more. You want to tell me about the debt?
I started watching her. She was 8 months old.
What's her name?
Deborah. I watched her for a while, and then she left me and went to a daycare, went to another daycare, and then she was brought back to me. The first half is irrelevant to why I'm suing her. When she was brought back to me, everything was okay for a while, and then it just got to the point where I was keeping her all the time. I was paying for a lot of stuff. Around May or June, Anna had come over to us, and I sat down with my husband and I and said that she was working at a job, but she was a temporary at that time, and she had gotten hired on with the company, and she wanted to wait. She wanted to see if we would wait until August till she got her bills together and got onto her new job, and then she would start catching me up with everything.
How much did she owe you at that time?
She had been paying me up until, off and on that time. I mean, just for child care.
Did Deborah sleep at your house?
Yes.
How often did she sleep at your house?
She was there quite a bit, almost every day, weekends.
You mean she slept over every night and on the weekends as well?
Pretty much. There were times, I would say probably about 85% of the time.
Okay. Go ahead.
We sat down and we agreed with her. She told us to keep track of what we owed her, and for expenses, diapers, other things that I needed for Deborah. It came down to, in August, it just was over and over again. It was just something different, why she couldn't give me money. Just continuously over and over again. At that time, it got really hard because Deborah had gotten very, very attached to us, extremely
How old was
attached.
she at this point?
2.5.
So you'd been taking care of her for about 2 years?
Right. With like a 4-month span from the first time to the second time. We took her on vacations with us. We just started taking care of her.
Do you
We
have
fell
children
in love
of
with
your
her.
own?
No.
And
No.
who lives in your house with you?
Just my husband.
Who is? That's you?
Right here.
Okay.
We had sat down and talked with Anna. I believe it was right around August, and a lot of things were going on, and we had talked about, because she always knew that, if anything happened, that we would like to, raise Deborah. I have a will that she had written out, for, in case anything were to happen to us, or anything that happened to her. We had come to the point of talking to an attorney, which was, she had said that we can talk to an attorney. We did, and it just got very, towards the end, I don't know, she just decided, that all of a sudden she didn't want her staying with us. I had contacted Deborah's father, and it just got into a big mess from there, and then she just took her from us.
When was that?
I believe it was in the late part of August, beginning of September.
And you haven't seen her since?
No.
A babysitter's kind act leads to doubt, suspicion, and forgiveness. More in a moment.
I wanted some conditions if I was to let Deborah be adopted prematurely, that I wanted her to know that I am her mother. Her husband at the time did not agree. He said, no, you will be her aunt.
Babysitter Wendy Maston wants to be compensated for raising Anna Newberry's little girl. A case of two friends who broke each other's hearts.
In mid-1994, shortly after I was married, I put it out in the paper, and one of the people that answered was Wendy. I've hired her. She was aware at the time that I worked long hours, that I probably had to travel. It was on a daily basis. We agreed on an amount that it was paid at the time. It was $80 a week. Towards the end of '94, my daughter had had a broken tibia. She was not even walking yet. Kaiser Foundation, her pediatrician, decided that there could have been neglect. The reason why I removed Deborah for some months, even though I didn't believe it happened, I didn't believe that Wendy could have caused any harm to my child. I had a lot of pressure, including my pediatrician, that it was threatening me with Child Protective Services. I removed her. Deborah went into daycare. A few months
Deborah went into?
Daycare, regular daycare, professional daycare. A few months after that, I was separated, and I decided to bring Deborah back to Wendy.
You were separated?
From my husband. And I decided to bring Deborah back a few months after that.
Why?
I've always liked Wendy. Wendy has been a very good friend to me. She is my best friend, and I've liked the way she handled Deborah. And I didn't believe she has caused any harm to my child. On my heart, I didn't.
Okay.
So I brought her back. Meanwhile, I changed employment, and I became a temporary employee for a corporation. I was alone. I was supporting myself. I had a lot of bills. I was going through divorce. Wendy has helped me through the worst.
Your husband was or was not Deborah's father?
No, it is not.
It's
Deborah's
not
father
Deborah's.
is foreign, and her father's name is not mentioned on her birth certificate.
Her father lives where?
In Portugal, where he's from.
Okay.
Wendy has been helping me throughout all the time. We became very close. She was the only person I could confide problems that I had, secrets. In February of 1995, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Because I knew they were very close, for what Wendy has told me, she was unable to have children. She loved Deborah very much, and I never doubted that. I've decided that something, before my surgery, if something was to happen to me, they would be the parents that I've chosen for Deborah. That it was to prevent other family relatives to do anything and take her away. On that will, there was some detailed information about Deborah's father. Deborah's father is a public figure in my country. I have reasons for him not to be contacted through the phone unless if there was a life-threatening emergency. That information was in a will. I went through difficulties, financial difficulties, very big. And at one time in June, I came to Wendy and I told her that I had somebody to watch Deborah for free for a few months until I got back on my feet, which was my ex-mother-in-law. And other than that, I was not able to pay her for a while. I had just moved into the company as a permanent employee. There was a lapse of over a month that I did not get paid, and all my bills were piled. She begged me not to take Deborah from her because they've grown attached to Deborah. The money was not an issue. And this way, Deborah continued to be with Wendy. At one point in the beginning of '95, we had agreed on a fixed amount that included diapers and food. Because before I used to take diapers and food, but then she grew, and that was $120 a week. Then we changed back to $100 because of my difficulties. In August, in June, she'd agreed to wait for the money.
How much was it at that time?
Over $1,000.
Your Honor, from my estimates, because there was extra money that was given out of the payments, I believe up to $500. That's what my estimate is. Because I trusted her completely, I did not keep track.
Okay.
In August, she asked me in her house, she actually asked me if I could sign the guardianship of Deborah to her.
Guardianship.
Guardianship. So this way she could have help from AFDC with Deborah. I seriously considered that my health has not been going very well, and I was very much afraid. And I felt at times that I could not take care of Deborah. And chemotherapy was getting me very sick. And I honestly, there was times that I just didn't want to see anybody. And I did have that conversation with her that I was seriously considering their option or the adoption option. But I wanted some conditions if I was to let Deborah be adopted prematurely, is that I wanted her to know that I am her mother. Her husband at the time did not agree. He said, no, you will be her aunt. And I did not like that at all.
A babysitter's kind act leads to doubt, suspicion, and forgiveness. More in a moment.
She's the one that did not make the approach to see my daughter. My house is open, my heart is open, and I will let her see my daughter. But I do have a fear that she was trying to take my daughter away from me. What if she does it?
Babysitter Wendy Maston wants to be compensated for raising Anna Newberry's little girl. A case of two friends who broke each other's hearts.
She had asked me if she could have contacted Deborah's father, and I said, she asked me if she could write Deborah's father, and I said sure, and I wrote out on a piece of paper in her home the P.O. box to where I write to him and where we communicate. The next morning, she left me a message at work. This was in August, mid-August, towards the end of August, that she had called him. To me, it was a violation of privacy. There was a will, and there were under no circumstances he was to be called, and that brought problems to him as far as our relationship. I was very angry, and I asked her what was the conversation. She told me that he asked her a lot of questions, that he said a lot of things, and I gave her several choices. And 2 days later, he called me at 11 o'clock at night, and he had mentioned to me conversation that he had had with Wendy that he would not have known unless if she had told them. For example, that she had consulted already an attorney, which I did not know. She had actually consulted an attorney to get my Deborah away from me.
Did you tell her that she could consult an attorney at one point?
But she had already consulted. I've told her this the day before. She had already called him and told him that she had consulted an attorney to seek custody of my daughter. It was never a custody issue. It was an adoption issue. She also told her father that my daughter did not call me mommy anymore, called me Anna. And that is true. My daughter was not calling me lately by my mommy, only by Anna. She can only have been taught in her house because my ex-husband treats me as mommy around her. And I didn't like it. I felt I was violated. I felt that she was my best friend. She still is. And I love her for everything. She's been with me through the difficult moments in my life. But I love my daughter. I've gone through a lot of things to have this baby. She almost died on me. And I think what she did was a treason, even though I still love her very, very much. And the reason I took her is that we have had this conversation also that in '95 when I became a permanent employee with the corporation that I'm with,
what kind of work do you do?
Intel Corporation. We have a child care deferment program for tax purposes, and I had told her that I needed receipts because I needed to claim my daughter in income taxes that I have never claimed. She told me that I could have not done that because she collects full disability and that it would stop.
If she were working?
Yes, she cannot work. Apparently, for what I was told, she couldn't lift any more than 5 pounds.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Newberry. Both of you seem to have pretty sympathetic positions. But what I'm seeing is not a lot of anger, but a lot of hurt.
She tore my heart out. She tore my husband's heart out when she did what she did to us.
One of the things, Ms. Newberry, that I don't understand, and I understand that you've had a pretty rough road the last few years, is your daughter was very attached to these people. They really were her full-time parents for a substantial part of her life that at least she can remember, from age 8 months to 2.5, with the exception of a few months in between. And even if you were angry with her, you shouldn't stop letting her visit with, see Deborah,
Your
because
Honor,
that's cruel to Deborah.
Your Honor, I never stopped letting her. She's the one that did not make the approach to see my daughter. My house is open, my heart is open, and I will let her see my daughter. But I do have a fear that she was trying to take my daughter away from me. What if she does it? But I will not close my daughter to her. She's welcome to see my daughter.
Is that what you want to do?
No.
Don't want to see her anymore?
No. I had made numerous phone calls to Anna. I mean, I even asked her for the money, and her exact comments were on the phone when I asked her when she was going to pay, if she was going to pay me the money, and she said no, and I don't have time to talk right now. And I said, Anna, why? And she goes, I'm busy and I don't have any time to talk to you. And I got mad and I hung up the phone.
The only time she called was a Sunday. My daughter was in the bathtub, and my phone was not close to the bathtub, and I was busy with my daughter because she was on the bath, and that's why I was busy. However, she has not attempted to call me and say, can I see Deborah?
Well, I'm going to take care of two things today, because one of the things is as important to me as the other. The defendant says that she has no objection to you visiting with Deborah. Is Deborah in good daycare now?
That is right. It's true.
She's in daycare now?
She's in professional daycare.
Do you want me to try to work out an arrangement so that you can see Deborah?
No.
Then all you are requesting is the money that she owes you.
I want my money that she owes me.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned. babysitter Wendy Maston wants to be compensated for raising Anna Newberry's little girl. A case of two friends who broke each other's hearts.
Miss Newberry, my sense is that you say you didn't keep good records of how much you owed, but it was at least $500. Did you keep records of what was owed so that I can take a quick look at them?
I have some receipts. I did, you know, when you become a mom, you know, you just don't save receipts. Deborah needed diapers, she needed wipes, she had to go to the doctor, she needed medicine. I just bought it. I didn't think that it was going to come down to this, to have to save every single solitary receipt.
Yes.
Your Honor, there was gifts, there were things that were bought for Deborah because Wendy wanted to buy her things. The diapers were included. When we had the last arrangement, the money would include diapers and food.
But you weren't paying the money for a long period of time.
I didn't pay your money for a month. But another thing is, I have never had, for 2 years that I had my child babysat, I have no receipts. I have never claimed my child an IRS.
But that was a choice that you made. How much do you pay for professional daycare now?
I pay $105 a week.
And for a long time, it was $80 when she was originally taking care.
For a while, it was $80, and then it went on to $120, and then down to $100.
And that was including other things, including the diapers and everything else, which you do supply to the daycare. Is that right?
I do supply daycare, yes.
You do supply the daycare. Okay. Well, you do not have all of the receipts. You acknowledge that you owe her at least $500.
Yes,
she doesn't have receipts, but she says it's more like $1,000. And the only thing, quite frankly, without something that's itemized and something more definitive, is I can do what courts have done historically for decades, which is split the difference. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $750. Miss Matson, I'm sorry that you made the decision not to see Deborah anymore, because I understand that you may feel as if you're hurt and it's better just to cut it and not see her because it may be too painful. If that's your motive, if that's your reason for not seeing her, I think you're just being a little short-sighted with regard to the child, because the child doesn't understand that. Just a minute. The child doesn't understand that. All she knows is that you were precipitously cut out of her life. I get the sense that Ms. Newberry doesn't have an extended family.
No.
Just a minute. That she doesn't have an extended family, and that really, if it weren't for you and for your husband and your extended family, Deborah doesn't have an extended family. She's got a father somewhere off in Portugal, and she doesn't have anybody else. So the loss of you in her life is probably a very tragic one for her. So I want you to think about it again as to whether or not you're doing the right thing for this child who you moments ago professed a lot of love for. I don't think you have to tell me anything else. Keep your door open. Okay? Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Well, step up, please.
Michael Meek says Deborah Caldwell dumped his personal belongings in the street. Deborah says Michael wasn't the man she thought he was.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 34 on the calendar in the matter of Meek versus Caldwell.
Thank you, Bird.
May be seated.
Mr. Meek, I've read your complaint, Ms. Caldwell, your answer. You're suing her because you said, for some reason, which you will explain to me, you left certain of your belongings at her house, sort of as storage.
Yes,
and
Your Honor.
that she either negligently disposed of them or purposefully got rid of them. You're suing her for $5,000. Why was the property stored at her house?
7 months ago, I moved to the Inland Valley to seek therapy from some physicians that were open-minded enough, me being a transvestite and presently undergoing a sexual gender reassignment surgery. I applied at Deborah's residence to rent a room. We became friends over those next several months.
Did you, in fact, rent a room from her?
No, I did not. I moved out to Palm Springs temporarily. Several weeks later, was called by Deborah to, hey, come move in with my sister. Her husband left. She needs somebody to live with her. You know, we accept your lifestyle, this and that. We can help you. We can become friends, so on and so forth.
So far, is he correct?
Correct.
I came out from Palm Springs approximately the 17th of, I believe it was August, or July, pardon me. Moved in with her sister for differences of opinion and lifestyles, whatnot. I lived there for several months, had outstanding bills and accrued discrepancies with her sister, understanding that they're still outstanding. I subsequently immediately moved out on the 17th of September.
Did she ask you to move out?
Yes, I was served with a 30-day pay, rent, or quit notice. I moved out immediately, stayed in Motel 6 for approximately a week and a half. Deborah understood the situation I was going through. She explained that she would retain possession of my stuff in her garage until I could locate a new residence.
Well, that was nice of you. Bring it over to the house, put it in the garage, and you thought that was a nice thing for her to do.
Correct.
That was the 18th or the 19th of August?
Yes, Your Honor. Over the next 8 days, I tried to get a residence. I gained residence on the 27th of September in the city of Upland. I called her for 3 days, repeatedly, 15, 20 times a day. She wouldn't return any of my pages. 8 days later, I got a police report that's showing that what was remaining of stuff that was in her garage was thrown in the middle of the street in front of my father's house.
Well, why couldn't you keep his property there for the 10 days since you had offered to keep it there until he found a place to live?
Okay, between that time, he was paging me numerous times in meetings. He was calling, not making his appointments that I had arranged for him to come and pick up his stuff. I called the police officer out, and I wanted to find out what were my rights with this stuff being stored in my home. And he stated to me that if it was an officer, actually a sheriff deputy, Michael Bryan, stated to me that if his property was left on my resident over 30 days, that technically it set up residency. So at that point, I didn't want this to go any further. He didn't have transportation. He had no means of money. He was missing his appointments. I wanted his stuff out of my garage. He kept calling me, harassing me, and not making his commitments to the appointment. I was the only person that could have helped him, and he did this to me.
Michael Meek says Deborah Caldwell was kind to him, but ended up dumping his personal belongings in the street.
Well, you told him to come and pick up his stuff.
Right.
And he said to you, I can't come pick up my stuff because I don't have a place.
No, that's not correct.
Well, what did he say?
He said he would make arrangements. He would get a truck. He was trying to get money from someone.
But he did not set a specific appointment time with you.
Yes, he did. On the 21st, he set an appointment up, and that's when he failed. Then he...
did you make up an appointment to go to?
No, I did not. Because of her work schedule and her children and her entire life, we never stipulated an exact time. She said, I'll be home today.
On the 21st?
Well, no, not specifically that date. She would say, I'll be home on Friday. You can come over or call me anytime. She doesn't have a home phone. She had it disconnected. At this point, the only number I had to get in touch with her was a pager number, which she would never return my calls.
Now, what did you do with his property after the 10 days?
His property after the 10 days, on the 29th, I removed it in the early morning hours because that's the only time that I can remove his property.
How did you remove it?
In a van, my friend Robert Romo's van, big size van. We took 3 trips moving it to his father's home. The officer had told me I could...
Just don't tell me what the officer told you. I'm not taking into consideration what an officer told you because that's hearsay.
Okay.
When you say you took it to his father's home, that's you, sir?
Yes, it is.
Well, where did you put it in his home?
On his driveway.
Had you called him first?
No. I didn't call because of what the officer had told me, the direction he gave me. I could do whatever I wanted. I could make arrangements, I could put it on the street, I could call Goodwill.
Well, as I said to you, I'm discounting anything that the officer told you because that's hearsay. What kind of property was it, sir? Exactly.
Personal effects for the last 25 years of my life.
What kind of personal effects?
Clothes, autobiographies towards my gender change, pictures of my only marriage that I have a son by, some remaining personal effects in here, if I may.
Well, these are the things that you got back.
This is what's left of stuff that was returned to me in the middle of the street.
So you have some photographs. Any other major items, sir?
I'm sorry?
Any other major items?
Oh, yes, I have it itemized.
Well, tell me what.
I've got portions of stereos, speakers, a receiver, a CD changer, 27-inch color TV.
You left the TV on the driveway? Ms. Caldwell? You left the
No,
television?
I said everything on the property.
You said you left it on the driveway.
Yeah, the driveway, way up back.
Just a second.
By the
you
house.
left a television set in the early morning hours on a driveway.
Boxes were around.
And you left I'm asking you this question. You left the stereo on the driveway.
Yes.
It was trash. It was thrown in the middle of the street in front of my dad's house. Why would my father take my stuff out of his driveway and throw it in the middle of the street at 6 o'clock in the morning? He wouldn't do that.
How old was this television set, sir?
2 years. Approximate purchase was 94.
And how much did you pay for it?
All the receipts are here, Your Honor, if I may.
Just tell me how much you paid for it.
Approximately $700.
And the stereo equipment?
Well, I have a Kenwood CD changer, $149. Receipts are here. I have numerous amounts of clothes, all of which I have receipts for. I mean, we're talking shoes, shoe stretchers, several watches, earrings, bracelets. 3 pages of this is clothes that I'm missing. I have a VCR.
How much did you pay for the VCR, sir?
$489. Briefcase-style cassette carrying case with 60 cassettes.
Stuff.
You know,
Would you step up here, sir? There came a time when you saw, you are his father.
Yes, I am.
There came a time when you saw some property on your driveway.
It was Sunday morning.
Yes.
I'd gotten in late Saturday night, and Sunday morning, that's when I noticed it. I didn't notice it Saturday night. I got up to get the paper, and I saw all the stuff. It was not in the driveway. It was in the street.
Did you bring it into your house?
No, I did not, because I didn't want to be involved in it. What I wanted my other son who lived with me. He called the police, and the police came out and looked at it, because I didn't want anyone to think that I took anything there.
Did you know where it came from?
I had an idea. I had an idea that it was his things, because I believe her father called me up and says, hey, you know, he's got all this stuff. What should I do with it? I said, well, it's really not my responsibility to tell you what to do with my son's stuff. That's between your daughter and my son. So the end result was that, and there was a chair, a reclining chair that had been broken, I guess, when it was sitting down. But there wasn't the speakers were not there.
And no TV.
No TV.
And you eventually brought some of the stuff into your house?
Well, I was going to bring some of the stuff, but by the time I was going to do that, the police arrived, and they said, what should we do with this? And I said, I don't know. It's not my things. I wasn't sure that it was his. And he says, well, let's put it on the side of the curb, and we put it on city property. I says, well, if there's something really important, and it happens to be my son, we could put it over on a little walkway. Well, I didn't see anything worth doing that with, so that was...
What do you mean you didn't see anything worth doing?
Well, there was boxes of magazines I didn't think were worth much. I don't know what those things are worth. I had no idea what they were. The only thing I thought was of any value was a microwave, and I kind of watched that, and when the police got there, he made note of the fact that there was a microwave there, and that's about it.
Okay. Now tell me something about this countersuit. How you countersuing him for $5,000 for mental stress? What kind of mental stress?
He's threatened me on the phone.
When? Before or after this?
After his property was moved from my house, he called and said, I hope you had fun going through my stuff. You're going to pay for this. He harassed me by calling my store manager, demanding to speak to her. I have a form from that. I also got reprimanded at work. Again, he calls again on my phone. My roommate answers and he says, bye-bye, Birdie, you're dead. After finding, when I was moving his property, a box fell and there was pornographic, children pornography stuff. I don't want him around my children. I don't want him near me. I have helped him. I have done all I can for him. I was the only person that could have helped him, and he did this to me.
I feel raped. My entire life is sitting in the middle of the street. What's left of it?
Michael Meek says Deborah Caldwell was kind to him, but ended up dumping his personal belongings in the street.
I know you're upset, but the truth of the matter is you didn't do the right thing with his property. I will tell you that when I read your papers, I wasn't exactly sure of the dates, and from reading the papers, it was hard to discern. And I really thought you had left the property there, sir, for well over a month. That doesn't appear to be the case. It appeared to be the case that you left the property there before you disposed of it for slightly more than a week, from either the 19th or the 20th of September until the 29th of September. That's slightly more than a week, and that is not outrageous. He told you that he was going to try to find another place to live. You know, sometimes it takes more than a day or two to do that. So you didn't deal with his property properly. Now, have you been calling to bother her because you were angry?
No, I have not.
Well, what have you said to her on the phone?
I did call and state that that was childish of Robert to take my stuff, and literally, I feel violated. If a man can feel violated, I feel raped. My entire life is sitting in the middle of the street. what's left of it. My pornography was not child pornography. That was adult bondage fetish material, adult reading magazines. It's all what's left of it is in the next room for evidence.
Well, I mean, that's
it's
your
not child
prerogative if you want.
pornography.
If that's your prerogative, if you
Yeah, but she
want
doesn't
that.
need to lie up here and say it's child pornography and make me out to be a pedophile, which is BS. It's incorrect.
Your Honor, I asked the officer what is construed as child pornography.
Don't tell me what the officer said.
And that was, okay.
You know,
Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
I think that initially you were trying to do something nice. I think that your sister needed somebody to help pay the rent. You thought he was a good person to do that. But in addition, you were doing your sister a favor by hooking these two people up. They seem to need each other. Is that right? She needed somebody, her husband left her. She needed somebody to help pay the mortgage. She thought he was a reasonable fellow. You would spend some time with him. Well, you had a 7-month friendship, according to both of you, even though he wasn't around. So, and you knew his lifestyle. You knew what he was in town for. You knew that he was going to have some surgery. You knew that he was changing his gender. You knew all of those things. I mean, this didn't come as a surprise to you. You didn't take care of his property properly. And the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, and I am, sir, fixing the value at the value you request, which is $5,000, and I am dismissing the countersuit. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He caused me problems at work. He threatened me on the phone, my life, my children's life. I don't want anything to do with him.
Oh, I feel very betrayed. I opened my entire life and heart up to her, and she shredded it. Shredded it, threw it back in the trash, and she...
And now, the next case.
Parties on St. Croix versus Masters. Step forward, please.
Actor Stephen St. Croix says movie producer Rick Masters didn't pay him for an adult movie contract. Masters says the body parts didn't match up.
Your Honor, this is case number 27 on the calendar in the matter of St. Croix versus Masters.
Thank you, Bird. This is a case based on a contract.
Correct.
Mr. St. Croix, you're an actor. You are a producer, Mr. Masters. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you are suing him for $500 for breach of a contract. He was supposed to work in one of his films. You're countersuing him for fraud and misrepresentation. You say because of his fraud and misrepresentation, it costs you a lot of money to produce this movie without him.
This is correct.
Good. Well, you see how smart I am. Now, what kind of a movie do you produce for $500?
That was just for his scene, adult film.
How did you find him?
I called Mr. St. Croix up, asked him to be in my movie. We met for lunch. He was very...
Why did you call him?
I seen him in this movie right here, Borderline. I thought his acting was very good and his performance was well.
So you saw the movie.
Exactly.
He didn't come to audition for you. You saw the movie, said, I want you to act for me.
Exactly.
And you entered into a contract. That's the contract.
Mm-hmm.
You each have a copy?
Yep.
Could I have mine?
Sure.
Here, take that one. Either or.
Your Honor, I'd like to give a video cassette of the movie in which he saw me in and he decided to cast me for his movie.
Okay. Listen. This contract says he was supposed to give you $500 to work on this.
$2 residual per
Okay.
video sold.
And a kill fee of $250 in the event that he doesn't produce the movie. Correct? The kill fee, I'm learning, is if the movie isn't produced, you get paid $250 anyway. Correct?
Correct.
But the movie was produced.
Yes.
But without him.
Without him.
And you didn't pay him any money.
Exactly. He's another actor.
Why?
Well, this is kind of embarrassing for Mr. St. Croix, but a lot of the shots in that movie are inserts of another actor doing his job.
Well, did you tell him that you were hiring? Because that's what it says in your answer, that he used a double.
Yes.
But he didn't seek you out, sir. You saw him in this film.
Exactly, based on his performance in that film. When I found out that was not him in that film, that was, how do you say?
Your Honor.
Wasn't him.
Yes.
In the editing process, that's the post-production process, which I have nothing to do with. Sometimes that has happened. To my knowledge, in Borderline, that wasn't the case.
But your face actually appears in here. Your body does,
I'm
in
the male
fact,
lead in the
appear.
movie.
Does, in fact, appear in here.
We were not too concerned about his face.
Well, listen.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
Action, sir.
Okay.
Nowhere does it say in this contract, sir. What are you helping me?
No, I was just explaining my dismay for him.
Listen to me. In this contract, it doesn't say that he was being hired based upon his performance in here.
Okay.
It says that you were hiring him to do this film. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in addition, he didn't bring you this film and say, this is me, right?
Correct. Okay, I saw the film.
You
Correct.
saw the film, you came to him. Did you ask him the question when you had your lunch together? Is this you in each and every frame of the film? Did you say that, Mr. Masters? Look at my eyes.
Yes, I did. I asked him if that was him in the film, in every single frame of that film.
Did he ever say that to you? At
I
lunch?
don't recall.
You don't recall or no?
Not that specific question, no.
Or what specific question do you
He
recall?
asked me, did you do the movie? I said, of course I did. I was a male lead. He
And you
goes,
were in this movie.
Exactly.
Mr. Masters, are you telling me, sir, that you said to him, I saw this movie, I really liked it. In each and every frame of this movie, is that you, or did they use a double?
Not in the exact words. I didn't ask him if they used a double, but I said, this you in this movie. He said, yes,
He
it
said
is.
yes, and that
Did
it
you
is.
find the scenes where they edited
Just
the
a
thing?
second, and
I
it
talked
is.
to the editor that edited that movie, and I talked to the other director also.
What was the editor's
Gentlemen,
name?
listen to me.
What was the editor's name?
Listen to me.
Sir,
Hey,
speak to the judge.
this is you in this movie.
Correct.
Well, so, shh. You're very lovely, but I really don't need any help right now. Listen. You found him, you approached him, you entered into a contract with him, $500 or a $250 kill fee. Did you pay him the $250 kill fee?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because he never did the movie for me. I hired somebody else to do it.
But the movie, hey, listen to me.
Didn't you read your own contract?
Hey, listen to me, Mr. St. Croix.
Read it.
Mr.
Can
St.
you do your
Croix,
job?
if you
That's
go,
the question.
hey, one more time, Mr. St. Croix.
He's got the IQ of a shower curtain. I'm sorry.
Case is dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Okay.
You are
Excuse
rude.
me, step
I don't
out, please.
tolerate that, sir.
Why did I excuse? Step out.
Me also?
Sir.
Bird, I just got so mad I knocked over my chair.
When Georgie Hurd moved in with Aaron Colley's ex-husband, it resulted in charges of a smashed car window, a threat with an ice pick, and a daughter who can't see her father.
Order, all rise.
Yeah, this is number 40 on the calendar in the matter of Hurd versus Colley. You may be seated.
The complaint in this case talks about a broken window that you say the defendant broke on your car, back windshield. But it's really a lot more than that.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
You have a countersuit for harassment for $2,000. You want $300 for fixing your car window. Miss Coley,
Yes.
this young lady is now the girlfriend of your former husband.
Yes.
And reading between the lines in your answer, you're pretty angry with her.
Yes, I am.
Tell me why.
I was married to Richard for 15 years. During the course of my marriage, Mrs. Hurd has had several affairs with my husband. We tried to reconcile our marriage. She constantly interfered.
How did she interfere?
She has verbally abused my daughter. She's verbally abused me. I had to go into professional counseling because I was very depressed.
Well, how did she interfere?
She interfered by...
With the reconciliation.
She interfered by not letting me and Richard work out our differences. She stayed with him, and he came to me several times and tried to come back to our marriage, but by her being there and interfering and not giving him a chance...
You mean by her being accessible to him?
Right, to him. She did not give us a chance to work out our marriage. And so, therefore, we ended up in a divorce.
Did you break her car window?
Okay, the car in question is not her car.
Did you break the car window?
I broke the car window.
She in the car at the time?
She was standing, not in the car, but by the car.
Why did you break the car window?
Me and Mrs. Hurd have had several arguments. She has harassed me constantly, you know, during the marriage.
Does she seek you out, or do you seek her out?
Okay, we have seeked each other out. And so, out of fear, you know, I broke the window out. She also had an ice pick. She's also pulled guns on me twice.
And
did you pull a gun on her?
No, Your Honor. I don't even own one.
Did you have an ice pick in your hand?
No, ma'am. I couldn't even get out of the car because of her son. If I had an ice pick, I couldn't use it because he was blocking my entrance from the door to get out.
These are your two kids?
Yes.
What's your name?
Dorian.
And yours?
Shasta.
You angry with your dad?
Yes.
You know what? Come on up here. Up here.
Watch your step.
LaShasta, where do you live?
I'm in Inglewood on 104th.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
How do you do in school?
Not so good.
Is that just recently?
Yeah, I have failed the 9th grade.
Were you doing okay before your parents divorced?
Yes.
So this is really hard on you?
Yes.
Would you like it to be easier on you?
Yes.
You think your mom could make it easier on you?
Well, I wanted my dad to come back home. It'll make it more easier for me.
I know, but I don't know if even I can arrange that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you would like to see your dad. Your dad was around all the
Yeah.
time. Would you like to see your dad, LaShasta, without his girlfriend?
Yes.
You know, you're 15, he'll take you to dinner, take you out for an afternoon, take you shopping.
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind that?
No.
You think your mom would mind that?
No.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me?
No.
Let's see if I can do something about it, okay?
Okay.
Why don't you go sit down over there? Sit down.
Watch your step.
I'll deal with this $300 window in a minute. You were probably just angry.
Yes, I was, Your Honor. I was provoked also by Mrs. Hurd.
Well, whether you're provoked or not, that you don't retaliate by taking something and breaking a window unless you're really angry. You look like a lovely lady.
I am.
And you have a lovely daughter. It appears that this has been very hard on her. She doesn't do well in school now, and she looks as if she's at that threshold of young womanhood and in her education where it's really important. You know, failing the 9th grade is not a good thing because that's the start of high school. And she probably wants to go on to college, right?
Yes.
So you're going to have to love your daughter more than you hate your ex-husband's girlfriend or even him.
Yes, Your Honor.
And make it easy for her to see him. You know, not so that she feels guilty.
She kept having affairs with him. Did she see me doing it, Your Honor?
Charges of a smashed car window, an ice pick, and a daughter who can't see her dad.
I'm going to be in your face for a minute.
Okay.
Do you have any children?
No, ma'am. I had one child. She's deceased.
You think that Richard wants to see his daughter?
I know he wants to see her, but I'm not holding him from seeing her. Because with her, she used to call my house. I used to let her call, okay? But when she started calling me abusive name, talking about my mom when she's deceased, how she's going to kill me and what all she's going to do to me. So I spoke with her and I said, well, hey, look, why don't y'all do it like this? Drop the kid off at the police station. And that way he can pick her up and you can go back and pick her up when they finish. Oh, no, got to come through me. It's always got to be over. He was trying to go to her house to see the kid. But every time he goes, she runs out to the car, handing him papers, telling him, sign this, do this. I can't make him talk to her, Your Honor. Okay. But I do think the kid needs to see her father.
Okay, Miss Hurd, first of all, the kid has a name.
Shasta. LaShasta.
Okay. And we always have to call children by their name. This is LaShasta.
Sorry, Your Honor.
And then we don't exchange children at police stations because that's just not the right thing to do. You try to find some other way, especially with a 15-year-old who travels, right, LaShasta?
Yes.
You take a bus? You ever take a bus? He doesn't even have to come to her house. And he shouldn't, because it'll be unpleasant. The visitation with Richard should be pleasant for her.
That's right.
I don't really care if it's pleasant for Richard or not, but it's got to be pleasant for her. And if he comes to your house, it won't. So you have to. Now, where's Richard? I mean, he's
not here.
He's not here. Well,
good. We can't even talk about it because he can't defend himself.
Yeah, but you have his ear. And I'm sure that you're going to get home and discuss what happened here today.
She will.
Hmm?
I said she will.
I'm sure she will.
That's my home.
I'm sure she will. Listen to me. Your boyfriend had a life before you.
Mm-hmm.
He may want to close this chapter in his life with his former wife.
Yeah.
With his former wife. That's very sad for her. You can understand that.
Nah.
Well, if you can't understand it, then you're not a very nice person.
I can understand it,
then
but...
just say, is not understanding it. You
but
can
she don't have to
it.
take it out on me, Yana.
That's true. I mean, the person, if she wants to be angry with, she should be angry with her husband, her ex-husband, because he was the one who was unfaithful.
That's right.
The fact that she was there for him, if it wasn't her, and if he wanted to be unfaithful, he would have been unfaithful with somebody.
Yes.
So it just so happens that it's her, and she wasn't there to help. You wanted to say something.
Okay. She said that she has allowed me to call her house. I called her house not to speak to her, to speak to Richard concerning our daughter. She's on the phone all the time, instigating, listening to our conversation, would not let me and Richard or Shasta have a relationship with Richard. At the divorce, he agreed to come to the house to visit Shasta because Shasta told him that she did not want to be around him and Mrs. Hurd. That's in the divorce. Okay,
but you just heard what Shasta said.
I allowed Richard and Shasta to leave the house. I did not make him stick to his agreement. You know, he can take her anywhere he wants to take her. But what happened is that he started spending 30 minutes with her, 1 hour with her, you know, and he was only coming on Saturdays. That's where Richard, you know, what's up? He tells me that, well, he did not tell me, but Mrs. Hurd told me in one of the conversations, she told Richard to only stay and spend 2 hours with his daughter. Okay, she has a lot of influence over Richard.
Well, I'm
and you're
she
right,
has a lot of. Go ahead.
If it wasn't her, it would have been someone else. But the fact remains is that during my 15-year marriage, she kept having affairs with him.
Did she see me doing it, Yana?
Well, listen. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, right?
I ain't
We're here.
That's right.
We're here today. That's Richard's fault.
Right.
And if he was going to have affairs during the 15 years of your marriage, if it wasn't this lady, it would have been somebody else.
That's true, Your Honor.
She's ready to rule. Charges of a smashed car window, an ice pick, and a daughter who can't see her dad.
Really, I'm not concerned about you. And quite frankly, although I'm sympathetic, I'm not concerned about you. I'm concerned about the innocent. That's LaShasta.
That's right.
So I want you to deliver this message to Richard.
Watch.
His daughter would like to see him. His daughter would like to see him without you. And so you have to make certain sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
This is my message to you. Mm-hmm. And that is, she's a teenager. She'd like to spend some time with her father. She's still angry with you. Mm-hmm. She has a right to be angry with you.
Yes.
So you're going to have Richard spend some time with his daughter and make him feel comfortable about it, not like he's taking any time away from you, whether that's Saturday afternoon, whether it's twice a month, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You have to encourage him to spend some single lone time with his child. You don't have to answer. Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it. And you have to feel comfortable about calling your father's house.
I don't call his house.
Well, you should. I mean, if it's difficult for your father to call your house because he doesn't want to get your mom on the phone who is angry with him, you call your dad's house to make the arrangements when to see him. Now, you have to put a period to this anger because it's not healthy for you and it's clearly not healthy for your children.
You're right, Your Honor.
Good.
I have moved on. I'm still in counseling and I'm doing very well.
Okay. So you're going to pay for a car window. That's $300. That's the way I'm resolving this case, but I expect you to deliver those messages to Richard. This is a very nice young lady. She deserves not to be a casualty of what adults did. That's it. $300 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Dad can see his kid anytime he wants. I'm glad it's over. It should have been over 2 years ago. Don't take the law into your own hand. Take him to court.
Things I would like to say, I can't say it on TV, but it's over with, and I'm glad.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Boone versus Aguilar. Step forward, please.
Tina Aguilar says her ex-boyfriend bought her a $1,700 vacuum as a gift. Brandon Boone says he's not going to be taken for a sucker.
Your Honor, it's number 64 on the calendar in the matter of Boone versus Aguilar.
What do you do with a $1,700 vacuum cleaner?
You use it.
Before we get into this case, I want you to tell me what a $1,700 vacuum cleaner can do.
It's got up to 1 million attachments. It can do carpets. It can do upholstery, curtains. It can blow up balloons. It can blow up weeds. This thing does everything. Clean your car. It turns into this little dinky little vacuum. I mean, it's worth the money.
What do you do for a living?
Now, I'm a payroll clerk. Back then, I wasn't working.
The reason I ask you that question, Miss Aguilar, is when you bought this $1,700 vacuum cleaner that he co-signed, and we'll get to this case in a second, you just told me you weren't working. I've been working all of my adult life. That's a couple of years. I can guarantee you that in my worst year in the last 25 years, I made a lot more money than you did.
Mm-hmm.
I never bought a $1,700 vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I admit it probably was crazy, but I like the best. I want the best.
Well, you wanted the best. Now we get to the case. So you and Mr. Boone were a social item for a while.
Yes.
And is that right, Mr. Boone?
Yes, that's right.
For a short while.
Short while.
And then you just became friends.
Correct.
She wanted a Kirby.
Correct.
But she couldn't get a loan or something for this Kirby, so she asked you to
co-sign for her.
And what did you do?
Well, at first, I approached her with the question of how was she going to pay for it, and she assured me that she could make the payments and that the payments wouldn't be that much a month. I still have my doubts. She asked me a couple times about it, and finally I decided that I would go ahead and help her out and co-sign for her. Well, when I went over, I co-signed, and next thing I know, I ended up being the primary on the account, which I don't know how that's possible when I was supposed to be just a co-signer.
So you were the primary, and then how did you find out that the payments weren't made?
After she received the vacuum for a couple months, I received a letter in the mail from the place saying that the payments were late. So I approached her about it, and when I approached her, she told me that they were wrong and that she had been making payments and that she would take care of it.
That's not true.
So after a while, the letters had stopped. So I figured she had been making the payments.
You say in your complaint that you were turned down for credit by TRW.
Yes,
and you
that's
went
correct,
to buy a car.
I applied to get a loan. My dad was co-signing for me to get a loan to get a car, and I was turned down from them for the vacuum being on my TRW, which is this. Western
One
Funding.
thing's not going to make it on your
Western
TRW.
Funding is a charge-off of 16-something on there. Okay.
And you didn't know about this for the 2.5-year period?
I didn't know about it at all. When I first found out was when I received a letter from a collection agency with her address and my name on there.
All right, Miss Aguilar, let me hear your side of the story.
Okay, up to the part where he said, yeah, we dated for a year. And at the time, I wasn't working because I had just lost my job where I was working for like almost 10 years. Well, he used to buy me gifts all the time, okay?
That's not
so
true.
him getting something like this, you know, for me and helping me out, to me, I didn't think anything of it. years went on. I mean,
you made payments on it.
No, I didn't.
You
Not in the
never
beginning.
made, just a second. Are you telling me you never made one payment on this vacuum?
No, I'm going to get to that. I was going to get to that. I
Well,
have
no,
made
get to it
payments.
right now. In my time, you made payments on this vacuum cleaner.
I told him, yeah, I was going to help make payments.
Just, you made payments on the vacuum cleaner.
Yes, I did.
All right.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Tell
When
Brandon.
did you stop making the payments?
I would just make them sporadically because I didn't have anything, and I would just send a check.
Oh, please. You know, stop making excuses, Miss Aguilar.
No, this is true. I used to ask Brandon, okay, if you want me, hey, you want me to pay for it, that's fine. Then you know what? Then you
That's
call the
not true.
company because they would not give me any information because
You
I'm
didn't
not on
need
there.
information. You
No.
knew where to make payments.
No,
You
I would
knew-
just mail in a check, but he would
So-
say he got letters, and there was no letters.
Just a second. You would mail in payments. So why didn't you mail in payments regularly?
Because it was basically his gift. I was doing it for him because I had a better job than him, and he wasn't really working.
Well, you would even, you were doing what for
He
him?
was doing this because he was jealous. He used to come into my house all the time. We lived next door to each
That's
other.
not true.
He would walk on in my house, you know, making flirtatious passes to me. And I used to tell him, Brandon, you've got a girlfriend next door. I'm going to go tell her. That's what all this
Miss
boils down
Aguilar.
to is a year ago.
Miss
when all of a sudden,
Aguilar, you asked him to co-sign this loan for you?
to help me purchase it.
You asked him to co-sign a loan for you.
I'd asked him to help purchase it, not co-sign.
Miss Aguilar, you're a liar. The
No,
judgment in this
I
case
have
is
a
for the
witness
plaintiff
right
in the amount
here.
of $1,270. That's all.
Pathetic.
Party's not excused. Step out,
Pathetic.
please.
That's pathetic.
This way.
Judge Judy will return.
Versus Horowitz. Step forward, please. All parties are on Lloyd versus Horowitz. Step forward.
Carl Lloyd kept his late wife's jewelry in a safe deposit box. He gave a key to his daughter, Carolyn Horowitz. She borrowed the jewelry, but didn't return it. Now, her dad is suing for the family jewels.
Order. Order. All right.
All right, this is case number 50 on the calendar in the matter of Lloyd versus Horowitz. You may be seated.
Well, I read over these papers, and let me tell you, some of the things that I read in here ring a little close to my home, and I think the homes of a lot of other people who may be watching this case. Your wife of 50 years died,
49 years and 11 months.
and this is your daughter.
Yes.
And when your wife died, you took some, according to your complaint, some of her diamond jewelry. You had it appraised for about $2,000. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the
I believe you.
here's the appraisal slip.
I believe you. And then you took this diamond jewelry that was your wife's and you put it in a vault.
Safe deposit box, ma'am.
And you gave your daughter the key,
Yes.
just in case something happened
That's
to
right.
you.
Seeing as how she was the only living relative.
Okay. And unbeknownst to you, your daughter at some point went into the safety deposit box
Right.
and removed the jewelry
Right.
without your permission.
Right.
So you're suing her for the $2,000.
Right. Or return of the jewelry.
Now, Ms. Horowitz,
Yes.
I read your answer, and you don't deny that you went in and took the jewelry, correct? You said you took it because you wanted to wear the jewelry to a very special function.
That's correct. It was a Christmas program that I was singing in, and I don't remember the exact year. I just remember wanting to wear the jewelry because I knew my mother couldn't be there, and it made me feel close. It made me feel like she would be close to me.
Ms. Horowitz, I want you to be really honest with me.
Okay.
Had your dad met his new wife at the time you took out the jewelry?
He knew her before my mom passed away.
But they started dating, according to your complaint, within 3 weeks of your mother's death.
Not his current wife. He just started dating,
Oh, he
and then he
started dating.
proposed to her 3 months after they, my mom passed away.
That bothered you?
A lot, yeah.
Okay. Was there any sense, or did you feel that perhaps this jewelry that was your mom's would wind up with his new wife?
No, I never gave that a thought.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. Because of something that happened Because of something that she said to him before they got married.
Which was?
Well, he wanted to give her a wedding ring that belonged to my grandmother, and Addie said, no, that belongs to Carolyn.
Why do you think that your dad didn't... Well, let me ask him that question. Mr. Lloyd, this is your only living relative, you said.
Yes. I have a sister who is in the courtroom now, too.
But this clearly would be the person who would get all of your wife's jewelry. You weren't going to wear the jewelry, correct? No. When your wife died, why didn't you give the jewelry to your daughter right away?
My wife left it to me.
Well, I understand that. She left you probably all of her property, didn't she?
Pardon?
Didn't she leave you all of her property?
Yes.
And the jewelry was just part of that property?
Yes.
My question is more of an emotional question, Mr. Lloyd, rather than a dollars and cents question. This was jewelry that your wife wore, and this is your only daughter.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you want to see her wearing that jewelry?
Your Honor, since the time she was in high school, she's been nothing but a lying bitch. And now she has made it a lying, thieving bitch.
Those are pretty harsh words, Mr. Lloyd.
I know they are.
Well,
and they're the truth.
Mr. Lloyd.
Yes.
Children come into this world as blank slates, sir.
That's right.
They grow up to be what we as parents make them, sir. And I have absolutely no idea as to whether any of what you said is true. But if any of it is true, you and your wife made her. So you have to have some responsibility for that.
The case of a father suing his own daughter and breaking her heart continues in a moment.
She wouldn't come to this meeting because my daughter, when we were married, says, there goes my inheritance.
That's a lie.
That's not a lie.
That's a lie.
You're a lying bitch. That's what
lie.
You are.
Carl Lloyd is suing his daughter, Carolyn Horowitz, over his late wife's jewelry.
I still don't understand why, if you had the feeling that this was your only living relative, why you wouldn't say to your daughter with a warm hand, you know what, did you ever hear the expression you're supposed to give with a warm hand? You know what that means?
No.
Well, it means that when you give to children, the hand that you are giving it to should be warm. They shouldn't have to wait until the hand is cold and dead before they get something from you. It's nice to give it, if you can give it with a warm hand while you're still alive, so that you could look at the face of the child and say, here's something I want you to have. Did your daughter know before this moment how you felt about her?
Pardon?
You think your daughter knew before this moment how you felt about her?
Yes, she did.
Is that true? Why do you think that is, Mrs. Horowitz?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I've thought about it and thought about it. And the only thing I can figure out is that I've never been able to live up to his expectations.
Is that true, Mr. Lloyd?
No.
You married?
Yes.
How long?
25 years.
Same guy? That's you.
That's me.
You have children?
Yes. My daughter's sitting in there in the front row now in tears because of what her grandfather said about her wedding.
What did he say about her wedding?
Tell her. Go ahead and tell her.
What did you say about Lori's wedding?
I said it was a fake, a phony.
Mr. Lloyd.
And
Mr. Lloyd, are you still married to your present wife?
Yes, ma'am. And very happily married to her.
You know,
she wouldn't come to this meeting because my daughter, when we were married, says, there goes my inheritance. There goes my inheritance.
That's a lie.
That's not a lie.
That's a lie.
You're a lying bitch. That's
a
what
lie.
you are.
Oh, listen, Miss Horowitz, listen to me.
That's not correct.
Listen to me. I don't know, quite frankly, whether your dad was like this all the time.
It's getting worse as he gets older.
I have a sense that that has to be true. Do you know? You took this jewelry and you knew that you weren't supposed to take it.
That's not correct, because he gave me a key to the safe deposit box. I assume permission was implied.
Well, that's not really true. Just because you have permission to go into a box doesn't mean that you have ownership of or any ownership rights to any of the items contained in the box. And I don't think you can make that giant leap from the fact that you have permission to go into the box to take the jewelry from the box.
I didn't even think of permission. All I was thinking of was I wanted to wear the jewelry because my mom couldn't be at this Christmas program, and it just gave me a sense of closeness of having her there with me.
Your Honor, I can't hear what she's saying.
What she's saying is she just wanted to be closer to her mom by wearing these pieces of jewelry that were her mother's. That's what she said. Mrs. Horowitz.
Yes.
You had no right to take the jewelry from the box. Now, according to your answer, you don't know where the jewelry is now. I'm not going to ask you whether that's true or not. I assume you still have a sentimental attachment for it.
Yes.
Right? Did you get along with your mom?
Yes.
What was the cause of her death?
Cardiac arrest, secondary to septic shock. She was in the hospital for anemia and developed, picked up a staph infection and went into septic shock and subsequent cardiac arrest.
But you were close to her all of the years that she was alive?
I would say so, yes.
Judge Judy is ready to rule in a moment. Carl Lloyd is suing his daughter, Carolyn Horowitz, over his late wife's jewelry.
I assume you want the jewelry. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Lloyd, and you want your $2,000 that the jewelry was appraised for. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Lloyd, you are too old, sir, for me to give any speeches to. You're even older than I am. But I'm going to tell you, you have a daughter, you have a grandchild, and sometimes people get softer as they get older. Softer. I don't think that's happening to you, Mr. Lloyd. I think you're getting tougher as you're getting older. I would try, if I were you, sir, to lighten up on your daughter. She is who she is. She's a product of whatever you and your wife did. She looks like a perfectly nice lady. She has a nice husband. She's been responsible, married to him for 25 years. They have a daughter who's getting married. You might even be a great grandfather in your time. That would be a wonderful thing. Well,
I've got 2 great-grandchildren.
That's
living in Maryland.
That's lovely. You may have another or another couple. That's very nice, especially if they were living closer by so that you could see them. It's a very terrible thing to cut yourself off from your family over money. You brought this lawsuit. You are entitled to either your jewelry back, which your wife did leave to you. I don't think there's any dispute with regard to that, or you're entitled to the money, Mr. Lloyd. You want the money from your daughter?
Or
do you want the money from your daughter?
The money or the jewelry.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. I'm sorry, Miss Horowitz. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, please.
I don't really know what to say. I'm shocked. You know, I don't understand. I don't even know what to say.
She stole my jewelry. It was mine. And nobody steals from me without paying the price. Nobody. And she's lied so many times that she's an habitual liar and a habitual bitch.
And now, the next case.
Party's on Seacrest versus Laney. Step forward, please.
When Pam Seacrest and George Laney lived together, she says she paid his taxes and bills. Now they're apart, and she wants her money back.
Miss Seacrest, it says in your complaint that several years ago you were living with the defendant and you made him a series of loans for a variety of things totaling about $5,800. One of the expenses were for back taxes that he owed when he was married to someone else, and a variety of other things. Broke up, hadn't seen him for a while, finally located him, and now you want your money.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you owe her the money, sir?
No.
You don't owe her any money.
No.
Did she give you money for taxes?
Yes, he paid it.
How much did she pay for the taxes?
I don't have no idea. I can't remember.
Well, was it $1,000, $2,000?
I don't remember. I have no idea.
Well, if she gave you money for taxes, were those taxes that you owed
She didn't
during
give it to me. She paid it. I have no idea what it was.
Why would she pay your taxes?
We were living together at the time.
Well, they weren't for the taxes during the time you were living together.
No, they weren't.
They were back taxes.
That's right. Absolutely.
So why do you not feel as if you owe her that money?
Well, we lived together for a long time. You know, she gives me the money, and at the time it was not a loan. When we get ready to break up, then it's a loan, you know. So, yeah, I don't feel I owe her anything.
What else did she give you money for that you don't?
I have no idea. That's what I'd like to know.
Well, then let's find
Let's
out.
find
Ms.
out.
Seacrest, what else did you give him money for?
There were a couple of his truck payments to the Bank of America here in California. Each truck payment was $322.18. His back taxes totaled from tax year of 1989, and I paid him in 91. They were $3,773.80, and I paid off a cash loan to his sister.
Did you owe your sister money?
Yeah, I guess. I don't
What
remember.
do you guess?
It's 5 years ago. I have to remember last week. You know? I don't know what happened 5 years ago. That's part of my life I want to try to forget anyway.
Well, she would like to forget it too.
Well, yeah, after 5 years. You know, why wait so darn long to do it?
I couldn't find you.
What do you mean you couldn't find me? You knew right where I worked.
I called and left a message, and you never returned my call.
Ms. Seacrest, you say in
You
your
never left a
original
message,
complaint that you have a promissory note that he signed for this money.
Yes, I do.
You remember signing a note, sir?
She says I did, and I'd have signed the Declaration of Independence at that time, you know, just to get her the heck away from me.
I didn't understand you. You want to go through that slowly for me?
You know, she said I signed one, so I probably did sign it.
Well, if you signed the note for that money, sir, that means that you owe her the money,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, okay.
Could I see the note? Do you have it?
Yes.
May I see it, please?
You can see I was being generous, Your Honor.
Would you show this to the defendant?
Judge. Once together, now apart, Pam Seacrest wants her money back.
Yeah, that's my signature.
Well, if it's your signature, Mr. Laney, then you owe her the money, sir. So you have to pay her the money, right?
Okay.
Good. Now you owe her $5,807. She's waited a long time for her money. I don't know why she's waited as long as she did to pursue this matter. She says it's because she couldn't locate you.
I've tried.
She hasn't tried. She knows where I work. When she left, she knows where. Oh, I don't even want to hear
Bureau of
this.
Madeira. I've tried. I called.
You know everybody
an
in Madeira
attorney
that knows me.
in
Everybody knows
Phoenix.
where I'm at. Everybody knows where I'm at.
George, people
Don't
do
even give me
change
that. Don't even
jobs.
start with me.
Well, sir,
you have any reason, you think, why she has waited this long to try to get this money that you clearly owe her?
No, I have no reason why she waited this long.
You think she just wanted to forget about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 5 years is a long time, isn't it?
I asked him when we were breaking up, I said, how do you plan to, or do you still plan on honoring this promissory note?
At that time, I wanted to kill you, you know? I mean, heck.
I know. And he said that he didn't have any money or anything, and I said, well, you do have your pickup. I've been paying the payments. Why don't you just sign it over to me? And then he began choking me, and I didn't pursue it after that for a long time.
Well, you owe her, according to this, $5,800. You clearly owe her the money, and the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Trong video hôm nay thì mình sẽ chia sẻ đến các bạn về chi phí để tham gia đi xuất khẩu lao động tại Hy Lạp. Điều kiện đi xuất khẩu lao động tại Hy Lạp thì không quá khó khăn và phức tạp. Thậm chí thì người lao động của chúng ta chỉ cần tốt nghiệp cấp 2 và có sức khỏe tốt, không tiền án tiền sự thì các bạn đã có thể nghiên cứu và tìm kiếm đơn hàng để đi xuất khẩu lao động tại Hy Lạp. Hơn nữa, ngoài điều kiện đơn giản thì chi phí khi chúng ta đi xuất khẩu lao động tại Hy Lạp cũng không quá cao. Và chi phí chuẩn bị để các bạn đến Hy Lạp làm việc thì chỉ dao động trong khoảng từ 3.500 cho đến 5.000 USD trên một người, tương đương từ 86 cho đến 123 triệu Việt Nam đồng. Các khoản chi phí này thì đã bao gồm: thứ nhất đó chính là phí chuẩn bị hồ sơ ứng tuyển, thứ hai phí khám sức khỏe theo yêu cầu của từng đơn hàng, thứ ba đó chính là tài liệu học tập để các bạn tăng cơ hội ứng tuyển thành công, thứ tư đó chính là chi phí xin visa lao động tại Hy Lạp, thứ năm tiền mua vé máy bay, cả vé từ Việt Nam cho đến Hy Lạp và từ Hy Lạp về Việt Nam sau khi hết kết thúc hợp đồng, thứ sáu đó chính là phí dịch vụ để tìm kiếm đơn hàng phù hợp, và khoản phí này thì sẽ thay đổi tùy vào từng đơn hàng các bạn nhé. Với đơn hàng có mức lương càng cao thì thời hạn càng dài thì mức phí dịch vụ sẽ càng lớn. Vậy là trong video hôm nay thì mình đã chia sẻ đến các bạn 6 loại chi phí khi chúng ta đi xuất khẩu lao động tại Hy Lạp mà các bạn cần phải biết, và từ đó thì các bạn sẽ đưa ra được sự lựa chọn phù hợp với từng đơn hàng của các bạn. Và các bạn nếu như muốn biết thêm các thông tin về thị trường xuất khẩu lao động thì các bạn có thể đón xem các video trên kênh của mình nhé. Trên kênh của mình thì sẽ cập nhật đầy đủ các tin tức về thị trường xuất khẩu lao động mà các bạn đang tìm kiếm. Và cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi video của mình và hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong những video lần sau.